So welcome everyone to this month's Humboldt Park, Chicago Avenue Community Roundtable. I am Ernest Bellamy. I am the project manager with DPD for the Humboldt Park, Chicago Avenue corridor. It's great to see everyone virtually here. I hope you're doing well. The warmer weather is almost here, and we're all starting to get vaccinated very shortly, which is a great thing. Just wanted to go over the agenda for today. After our welcome, we are going to have a community update with Main Street America. Then some department updates with SPIF and NOF, as well as the corridor RFP update, going over the opportunity sites we will be seeing in the visioning workshop, which will be happening tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Just wanted to thank the community who is always coming out to these monthly roundtables, those listed here and those not listed. Really appreciate your attendance over the past few months. And Alderman Burnett and Alderman Mitz, it's always a pleasure to have them. Alderman Mitz is here today. Welcome, Alderman Mitz.
Thank you, and welcome to you, and hello, everyone. Good to see all of you. Looking for great works, and present of my colleague, Alderman Burnett. We welcome you all today, and looking for some great input and great information so that we can develop the changes that we've been so long waiting to see happen in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Alderman. Without further ado, I'm going to open it up to Dion from Main Street America for the information on Main Street Now 2021 virtual conference.
Sure.
Dion, take it away.
Thank you, Ernest. I'm really glad to be here. Hey, Alderman Mitz, I just had to send you hugs and kisses. I haven't seen you in a long, long time. It's really good to be here with you all today. Pretty much, I'm just here to talk a little bit about Main Street Now virtual conference. This is a conference that is open and available to individuals on this roundtable. I would definitely encourage some of the aldermen to, both Alderman Mitz and Alderman Burnett to attend. This will give you a little bit of a flavor about Main Street, the work that we've been leading. Thank you. The dates are April 12th through the 14th. You can take a look at our conference at mainstreet.org/now2021. Really, our conference is about recovery and resilience this year, equity and inclusion, and small business and entrepreneurship. And, on April 12th is our opening plenary. You will be able to get a little more information about Main Street Now. Main Street's approach. On Tuesday, though, we're dedicating, first time we did this at our virtual conference, and really dedicating support services to the small businesses. In fact, your commissioner, Ernest, Maurice Cox, is presenting along with Bruce Katz. So again, I encourage you guys to check in and drop in and, look at some of the sessions and determine if you want to join. If you are interested in joining, I will defer you to Nefertiti Cutler, as well as Ms. Whitney Borkin, to learn a little bit more about the free code, because there is a free code to attend the conference, and they have access to that. If you have direct questions of me, you can definitely reach out to me via email. I'm just going to drop my email in the chat. But we hope that many of you will be able to join us, if not for all of the conference, but for a couple of days. Check out our schedule. There's a lot of interesting topics that we're talking about. And again, this is free to priority invest stuff.
Thanks, Dion. Is there any questions that anyone has for Dion about the conference? Okay, great. Thanks again, Dion. Up next are department updates. The first up is the SPiF update, Small Business Improvement Fund. And Nora Curry is here to provide us with information on SPiF.
Good morning, everybody. Still morning, right? Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me, Ernest, and it's a pleasure to be with you here today. I'm here to talk about the Small Business Improvement Fund. Do I have the slide, or are you controlling it, Ernest?
I'm controlling on my end.
Oh, okay. Can you move forward, please?
No problem.
So I know many of you on the call are very familiar with the SPiF program, but I'm going to go over it for those who are new. The Small Business Improvement Fund, or SPiF program, provides non-competitive grants to small business and property owners to make permanent building improvements. It's funded by the tax increment financing program, by revenues from that program. So it's only within TIF districts. And it is funded in 84 SPiF districts across the city where it's approved. Each month, we are opening 5 to 6 SPiF districts throughout the city that have available funds, and they're open for 30-day periods. If you're in a SPiF district, you need to apply within those 30-day periods to be considered for SPiF funding. Next slide, please. So who's eligible for the SPiFs? I mentioned small businesses. Again, the property must be located in a TIF district where SPiF funds are available and the SPiF is open for applications within that 30-day period. You can be a landlord owning a commercial or industrial property, a business owner. You can own or lease that place of business, a tenant with prior written approval, and you can be an existing or a startup business. You have to be a small business, meaning that you either have to have sales under $9 million per year, or a landlord with lower than $9 million net worth and a liquid assets of less than $500,000. If you're an industrial company, fewer than 200 employees. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, nonprofits are also eligible for the SPiF program. So the maximum grant amount was recently increased. We just passed a large, a huge new ordinance that made a lot of changes to the program, including the largest output of new funding. Thank you to the aldermen who are here with us today for approving that. We just approved $60 million of new funding for the SPiF program in 60 SPiFs citywide. And as part of that ordinance, we also made some changes to the program, including increasing the maximum grant amount. So commercial projects can now get up to $150,000 in grant money. Industrial projects can get up to $250,000, and multi-tenant commercial properties can get up to $250,000 for the building as a whole. Tenants can get up to $75,000. Grants are paid either by reimbursement or through an escrow account. Next slide. Now, this is also part of the new ordinance, and it's really exciting. For the smallest businesses, those businesses that earn up to $3 million or less in sales or have a net worth of up to $3 million, you could be eligible for receiving up to 90% of the cost of your projects in SPiF money, meaning you would only need to contribute 10% of the project costs, and the city will reimburse you 90%. For slightly larger businesses, you can get up to 60%. If you earn up to 60 to 9, 30% of eligible costs. That's all part of the application process. We look at that. For industrial projects, you get half of the project cost back. Next slide. So what does that look like? So we've got an example here with Grace. She's a property owner, she might submit an application for a SPIF grant in an open district. She has total eligible project costs of $100,000 and is proposing to make permanent building improvements to her existing retail shop. So she's a tenant in that shop. She's been in business for 5 years, and over the last 3 years, her gross annual sales have averaged 1.5 million. Her breakdown of eligible costs are as follows: $100,000. She's a tenant applicant with gross sales under $3 million. So she's eligible for that 90% reimbursement, the highest amount we have. So that means that our responsibility, the city's responsibility, would be $90,000, and her responsibility is $10,000. So pretty good deal for Grace there. Next one. Thank you. So in your area, you have in the Invest Southwest corridor there, you've got 2 TIFs that are relevant for you. This slide, I wanted to get these together, but I'm sorry, I have it in 2 different slides. The Northwest Industrial SPIF, which is open right this second and closes today. But the good news is the application for SPIF, the initial application is very simple. So if your property is in the Invest Southwest corridor that lies within the Northwest Industrial SPIF, you do have time to submit the application. Thank you, Ernest. Ernest is circling that area, which is within the TIF and is in the Invest Southwest corridor. It's the far west side of the Invest Southwest corridor. And you can submit the application. It's a 3-page application, very simple, where we ask you to tell us where you are, describe your project, give us your address. Pretty simple. You do have to submit it today by 5 o'clock. The instructions are within the application. I will give you the website. And we have $1 million available. If you cannot meet the deadline today, we will have another rollout. We have another $1 million, which we plan to roll out in April. But I do suggest that if you think you have a project, you submit it today and just get in line, because we do have a good number of applications already. So I do expect we will have a lottery. We'll have enough applications that will need to create a lottery, and that will have a lottery that will create a waiting list. That waiting list will be good for 2 years, and we'll work our way down that list as new funds become available. Next slide, Ernest. The other TIF that's relevant for this Invest Southwest corridor is the Chicago Central Park SPIF. And as you can see, that yellow area there is the Invest Southwest corridor along Chicago Avenue, and the blue is the TIF. So most of the Invest Southwest corridor is within this TIF, and that will open in October of 2021. So those properties within that corridor or that portion of the corridor will have a much longer time to prepare your applications. We have 1.27 million available there. And so I suggest you go on the site now and start thinking about your projects then. And the reason that we're telling you now when these funds will be available is we want you to have some time to prepare those applications, really think through and think what that's through. And the folks at West Humboldt Park CDC are very experienced with the SPIF program and can offer you assistance about what kind of project you can put together and help you find partners to put together the best application you can do, and offer you advice to get ready to apply, because there are some requirements within the program. Next slide, Ernest. If you need to, you can always look at our calendar on the website. There is the website chicago.gov/SPIF. And if you move on, we have a search tool. So you can go directly to our search tool. Oh, thank you for adding that information. You can go straight to our website again, chicago.gov/SPIF. Enter your address in the search, and it will tell you when the application is open for your address, and it will give you the information for your delegate agency with the phone number.
Hey, Nora, Alderman Burnett.
Hi, Alderman.
How you doing?
Great.
Question for you. In the past, we've had challenges getting people to apply over here in the Central Park TIF.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have in the past extended it to try and get more people to sign up. Will we be able to do that this time if we don't get a lot of people to sign up?
Well, what we'll do with we've never had trouble in Northwest Industrial getting people to sign up. What we'll do is, if people do not, we'll reopen the SPIF. If we have money left over, we'll open it up for another 30-day period if we have balance left over. In fact, the money in Chicago Central Park is balanced. So if we have money left over, we'll schedule a new rollout period, put that on the calendar, advertise that. But what we're really hoping, we have stepped up our marketing quite a bit so that we have it within the city. We're having these meetings. We have the website now. We have these great Invest Southwest corridor partners and a lot more support for people. That's why we're giving you so much forward notice, but absolutely, Alderman, we'll do everything we can to make sure that the money's out on the street and people have as much access to it as possible. We'll work with you as much as we can.
It seemed like with the focus of the Invest Southwest, you know, should have a little more play, you know?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and you know what, Alderman, thank you for making that point. I did want to point out that projects that are within the Invest Southwest corridor, in the case of a lottery, so as I said, the SPIF is a non-competitive grant, which means if you are in the SPIF and you qualify, if you meet the criteria of the program, you just qualify. We do not, there's not a committee that reviews them, and we don't pick winners in it. The ordinance picks the winners by selecting the qualifications. We do have a priority though. With the new ordinance, we did set that if we have a lottery in the area, projects that are within the Invest Southwest corridor will get priority in the case of a lottery. So we'll have a lottery first within the Invest Southwest corridor if that's necessary. If not, they will simply be put on they will simply be 1, 2, 3. Those are the first ones. And then the rest of the SPIF will go into a lottery, and that will become the waiting list. So the Invest Southwest corridor will inherently be first on the list. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for asking the question.
When, just to clarify, when does the application period open and when does it close for this first round?
Okay, for the Northwest Industrial Corridor TIF, which, Ernest, can you go back to that map? That one closes tonight. Okay, so that's and for the Invest Southwest Corridor, Ernest is, I'm sorry, we can't blow that one up, but that's just the western end of the Invest Southwest Corridor along Chicago Avenue. That one is open until this evening at 5 p.m.
And it's really just the 3900 block of Chicago Avenue in our corridor. So it's just a one block, the one block between Harding and Pulaski.
Okay. So, and we've got, I think, at my last count, about 18 applications in that area. They're mostly industrial ones throughout the rest of the application. This is a large industrial park. The next one, if you'll go to the next slide, is the Chicago Central Park SPIF, and that one will be open in October. Presumably it'll open October 1st, whatever the first weekday is there, it's on the calendar. And that'll be open for 30 days within October. And we will post that on the website, what the exact days are. In fact, it's already posted.
Thank you.
And Nora, just for clarification, so in the SPIF, so the SPIF covers not just the Invest Southwest lines, it covers the TIF area.
Exactly. So we could say we get 10 applications from this SPIF, in this SPIF. And we do need to get, and we might have enough money to fund all of those projects. And in which case we'll just move forward and work with all of those projects. But maybe that's not enough. Or say we get 15 just for safety's sake. So we get 15, 5 of them, the addresses are within the Invest Southwest corridor, and the other 10 are outside of the corridor. We would, and so that means we have to do a lottery just to determine it just determines the order in which we review the applications. So we would do that within about 2 weeks of getting the applications in. What that would mean is these 5 applications that come within the yellow area that denotes the Invest Southwest corridor, they wouldn't have to go through the lottery, or we may have a separate lottery for them just to determine which ones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they would immediately get reviewed, whereas the next 10 would go into a lottery and would become the database, would become the waiting list for the rest of the funding in the SPIF. They would have to wait for the money. They might have to wait for the money, whereas the Invest Southwest projects would be addressed immediately. Now, that process is simply getting reviewed. The first step after lottery is reviewing eligibility, making sure those folks are actually eligible for the program, making sure the projects are eligible for the program, all of those things. It doesn't guarantee funding, but it is just making sure that they get addressed first. It gives them priority. Okay, why don't we move forward so I don't take all the time for the, okay, so what businesses are eligible for SPIF? Most of them, most businesses are eligible. So we mostly talk about what's not. Residential properties are not eligible like home-based businesses, but we can work with multi-use buildings. So we can work with the ground floor. If you have a multi-story building, we can help you with the storefront. The project behind me is Lickety Split. That's in the on the north side. So we worked on the building on the ground floor retail. We didn't do the upper floors. However, in projects like that, we can work with the roof. We can do the tuck pointing. We just can't do the residential space inside or the windows or something like that. Can't work with chain or franchise businesses, can't work on bars or nightclubs, tobacco, hotels, things like that. But pretty much a lot of other businesses we can help. Next slide. What kind of projects? Permanent improvements. So things like facade, storefronts, permanent interior things, HVAC, roofing, plumbing, electrical, ADA requirements. We can even help you with architectural and construction management fees. Anything that you can't just pick up and walk away with you that's specific to your business. Moving on. What's not eligible, again, new construction, minor repairs, equipment related things, landscaping, fencing, parking lot. Again, next slide. We're really concentrating more on design like the rest of the department. We have new neighborhood design guidelines, projects above $25,000 must spend 10% of their project on exterior improvements. And we're providing folks with a list of architects and construction managers to use. Next. And here's an example of one of our projects. You've been seeing them throughout, but this is a project in Bridgeport that we just paid for. It's $100,000. We replaced the storefront and the inside is the next slide. Totally transformed this building into a really nice neighborhood ice cream store that's opening, I think, this month. Next. Just some additional application. You know, as I said, you will turn in that 3-page application and then we'll ask you for a whole bunch more stuff. And this is where your delegate agency really comes into play. With helping you get ready to apply for SPIF. So there are some businesses that need some work with getting their paperwork together. We're going to make sure that your debts are cleared, that you have a business license, that you have your business plans together. If you're a new business, you can keep going. That we're going to need to check your business financial statements and things like that to make sure that you qualify. So people like the West Humboldt Park CDC are going to be extremely helpful to you if you don't have these things in order, to help you get them in order, which is a great thing to have as a business person anyway, and make sure that you can smoothly go through the city's processes, because it'll help you with the next slide, making sure that you go through the process. On average, we go from soup to nuts about 18 months, but you can do it even faster. As soon as you're ready to go, we'll follow you. So we've had projects let go about 6 months throughout getting their construction done. Next slide. And some more projects, but I'll take questions. If you go to the next one, you can see my contact information, and I'll wait to take questions until after Sophia is done with her presentation.
Hey, Nora, just a quick question. On the one screen, it said it was a $25,000 grant, and then the example you showed us in Bridgeport was $100,000.
Yeah, the maximum is $150,000 for commercial. And for individual commercial projects, you can get more for multi-tenant projects. That's for commercial. For industrial, it's up to $250,000. Our average grant size is actually $61,000. So people can ask for less, and up until it's new that it's up to $150,000. Our maximum used to be $100,000. So people get varied size of grant.
Thank you.
Oh, Nefertari also mentioned that West Humboldt Park also does a mass mailing to help market the SPIF. So we really are working hard to market things. Thanks, Nefertari. All right, thanks everyone. I'll move on to Sophia.
Thanks, Nora.
Thank you, Ernest.
All right, next is Sophia giving us another NOF program update and letting us know about the upcoming deadline with the next batch of NOF.
Yeah. Thank you, Ernest, and thank you everyone for letting me come to you again. Real quick, I just want to say that the slide today is actually a condensed version of a more detailed information session that we hosted earlier this month and is pre-recorded and available on our website. I know that different folks come in and out of these neighborhood roundtables. So for many of you, this might just be a review and a reminder. So appreciate your patience. And then for anyone who is seeing this for the first time or is not as familiar with it, I would say feel free to reach out to me directly, or even more importantly, check out the longer information session that covers a lot more of the details that's available online. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. This is a reminder. We opened our application round this month on March 8th, and the deadline to get applications in is April 9th. So we still have a little over a week to go, and we are really hoping to get some very strong applications in this round. I will tell you that, or as a reminder, in the last round for the Humboldt Park community area, we had 11 applications. That compared to, say, Bronzeville, that had close to 30. So we're really looking to have it's not just the number of applications. We want strong applications, but we also would like to see more applications in this area so that we can support new projects here. Next. In terms of what it is, it's a small business grant similar to the SPIF that is up to $250,000. And in addition to that financial grant, we do have technical assistance program, which includes both lending coaches, architects, as well as construction managers to support the awardees and get their projects to completion. So it's twofold. It's both the knowledge capacity resource as well as the financial incentive. The point of the program is really to support the local entrepreneurs, so those that are already working in the community, as well as attracting new businesses and cultural amenities into the neighborhood. And overall, supporting from within and attracting from the outside is to provide ongoing economic development. Next slide. For the small grants track, which is grants that are $250,000 or less, you have to be on one of the corridors that are eligible. So we have designated eligible, priority, and Invest Southwest corridors. And if you can see, we have 3 corridors that are all part of the NOF program in the Humboldt Park west region of the city. And the Invest Southwest corridor, similar to SPIF, get priority over the or is the highest designation of priority, followed by the priority of the eligible. Thank you, Ernest, for showing that. Next. In terms of eligible NOF applicants, We are similar to NOF in that we will work with property owners as well as business tenants, and we'll also work with nonprofit organizations that are providing what we refer to simply as a revenue generating activity or amenity to the community. For property owners, the key here is they have to have a known end use. So this can't be for speculative or vanilla boxing of a space. We really need to know what is coming into that neighborhood. That can be a service or an additional amenity for the residents of the neighborhood. Next. In terms of the types of projects, we will do expansions and renovations. We'll also do kind of build outs for new locations. Those are similar to SPIF. Something that is different is that we will also do brand new construction. So folks that are going into what's currently vacant land and building from the ground up is something that is eligible for the NOF program. And for the NOF, we do have two different tracks. Today, I'm talking primarily about the small grants track, which again is grants of up to $250,000. There is a separate program, which is the large grants track, and that's grants that are greater than $250,000 up to a max of $2.5 million. There are some differences between those two. The small grants track, which runs probably has more parallel with SPIF. The difference is it is a competitive process. So we have so much funding available every year, and we read every single application that comes in, and we make grants based on the project costs until we run out. So those projects that are closest to being shovel ready and closest to matching the community plan for the area are prioritized at the top of that list. We do expect our grantees to complete their projects within 2 years, so about the same as the SPIF. For the large grants track, that runs a little more closely to what like a TIF deal would be like. So it does require city council approval, and there are additional requirements for those projects that are all memorialized in their redevelopment agreement. And those the key requirements that are different there are the MWE construction requirements, prevailing wage, local residency. All of those apply to the large grant projects because those projects cost a lot more money, and they are not required for the small grants track because those projects because of the total project cost, it typically does not make sense to embed those requirements into it, although we always encourage and support the use of WNBE construction, local hiring, and prevailing wage. Next. So in terms of what can NOF pay for, this too is very similar to SPIF. I'll just go over what is not allowed, which is anything that's small enough that it might just be considered a cosmetic refresh. We really want these projects to be substantial enough that the neighborhood will see and be excited with what is new coming into the area. So the example here is if someone just wants to paint the interior walls, that for us is just not catalytic enough of an investment into a business. We also won't do residential work. That includes home-based businesses. We won't pay for the resolution of any building code violations if it is currently going through building court or if it has already been, if it's been out of building court and is a violation, a penalty that needs to be addressed. We also won't do operating expenses. I will say here, one other thing I want to make a point of is that the SPIF allows for industrial type projects. We unfortunately do not support industrial type projects. This is really for neighborhood businesses. Next. Okay, so I've already talked a little bit about the technical assistance program. Two other key points to how we support our grantees in the NOF is the concierge support. So what that means is if they are going through some sort of city application process, so whether that is getting a building permit, getting a business license, getting an inspection for construction that is underway, we can and we do coordinate with our our colleagues in the other city departments to try and expedite that. An example of this just happened over the weekend. We were talking to one of our grantees, and we did a site visit, and we noticed that the construction team, they weren't doing anything. They were there, but they weren't doing anything. So we asked, what's going on here? And they said, well, we can't go on to the next phase of our construction until we pass this last rough inspection. And we've been waiting for the rough inspection to get scheduled, because once we pass that, then we can go ahead and finish out this project. And I said, oh, well, that's good for us to know. Let's talk to buildings and see if we can get someone out here sooner rather than later. And sure enough, they were able to show up on Monday to do the inspection and allow that project to continue to move at a fast clip. And then finally is something that we always recognize is this is an opportunity for the city to recognize the investment and the hard work entrepreneurs are putting into their projects. So projects that are part of the NOF as they're coming to completion, or some main milestone they're getting ready to do to break ground. We'll try and do events if it makes sense, or just social media marketing. And again, that recognition from the city that there's good work being done here. Next. So how to apply, our website, it's really easy to remember. It's chicago.gov/NOF. And anyone who's interested in the program or wants to apply should go to that website to get started. Our program, similar to the SPIF program, also has an outside program administrator in Summer Corps. If there are any additional questions, they can be sent to one of two email addresses. For the small grants track, it's NOF@cityofchicago.org. For anyone who's interested in the large grants track, so this is anyone that's looking at $250,000 or more, it's NOF-large@cityofchicago.org. I think, is that the last slide there, Ernest? Can you just go to the next one? Okay, yeah. So thanks, Ernest. So as a reminder, the deadline is April 9th. And I just want to be as real and honest with you guys as I can. As of right now, where we stand today, in the Humboldt Park community area, we have 3 projects that are active. Of the 3, one is West Humboldt Park CDC. So thank you guys. And we know that you are a good partner. And now that you have gone through this personally, you can even better advise other applicants that are coming through the program. We would love to see more projects. And so we can't get more projects into this community area without getting strong applications in. So please, whatever you can do to tap those individuals on the shoulders and say, hey, we think you've got a good project, please apply. We are really looking for those opportunities where we can partner with those individuals. Thank you, and I'll open up for any questions. All right.
Quick question.
Yes.
If after this round, when would you see is there going to be another round after this, and when do you think it would take place?
Great question. And thank you for asking. Yes, we do have another round anticipated for this year. We don't have specific dates yet. Right now, it's just set for the 3rd quarter. So the schedule that we have put the program on is basically opening up for the first round in the 1st quarter of the year, announcing the selected projects in the 2nd quarter, and then opening again a 3rd quarter and announcing the selected awardees in the 4th quarter. So definitely we do have another round coming up. And I would encourage everyone to sign up for our email list, because once we have specific dates, that's one of the first ways we're going to blast it out to the community.
And what's the email again for?
Yeah, if you go to chicago.gov/NOF, you can sign up for the email list there. In terms of the email address to ask questions, it's NOF@cityofchicago.org. I'll put it in the chat, and I'll also put my personal email in there as well, in case you want to reach out to me directly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see we have a hand up from Sam. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
So my question is, in terms of the initial application, does it have to be a complete detail, or is it similar to the SPIF, where we can come forth, apply with the general concept, some sort of estimates of approximate values of what the project will cost, and then once if we are chosen, come forth with the more accurate details, or are you preferring to have something come to the table kind of wrapped up and ready to go?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sam. So as the program has evolved, it has become more competitive, which means the closer to shovel ready you are, chances are the higher up on that list of projects that are going to get funded. In our application, which is, it's actually an online application, we do ask questions like, what's your construction budget? And how did you get those numbers? Do you have a bid to support it, or did you, just come up with that from personal experience? We also ask about site control. Do you already have the authorization to do the work? Do you have a secure path to do the work, or are you just looking? You're just starting the conversation, for a certain site. So, in terms of what is absolutely required, we need to have an address because this is geographically based. And then as close as you can get to being shovel ready, the closer you'll get to getting funded. The other thing I will note is that we do have a number of applicants where they apply once, and maybe they're not quite ready yet, so they don't get selected and they come back and reapply again. We welcome that because we actually like to see how entrepreneurs have continued to plan out their project between applications. That actually helps an application, a reapplication, if you will, if you can show the additional kind of effort you're putting towards getting that project shovel ready. And so that is also another option.
Okay, great. Thank you for the information.
Yeah.
Sophia, another question?
Oh, actually, John, I just want to make sure Keith gets in. He has his hand raised.
Oh.
That's right, John. You can't get all the questions. Come on. No, just a quick question, and this may be something that's already been answered. So a person can receive both opportunities, the SPIF and the NOF?
Great question. And I think I'll also let Nora chime in. So you can apply for both programs if you are eligible for both programs. However, the same project cannot be getting funds from both programs simultaneously. So for anyone who is in that lucky position where maybe they are eligible for both programs, my recommendation is definitely apply if it's open. If you get into a process where you are selected for both, we will have to ask you to choose one over the other one. And then based on your choice, you'll go ahead and finish out with one grant program. And then upon the completion of that, if you want to do another project, you can come back around and reapply for the other program. But because the SPIF program is non-competitive and lottery-based, so it could be kind of a luck thing. You happen to be up on the list, at the top of the list, and you get your funding right away, or you can be way at the bottom of the list and maybe not get up to the top for a while. It doesn't make sense for us to say you can't apply for one because you're in the other one. Just apply for both, and then we'll work with you to figure out which one makes the most sense. Nora?
Yeah, I think you did that very well. One of the nice things about the two programs is that we have the same program administrator in Summer Corps for both programs. So we have good communication. Aside from the fact that Sophia and I work together, we also have the same program administrator. So there's good communication among the two programs. So we can keep aware of what's happening between the two and just make sure that we're helping the right businesses at the right time, so things don't fall through the cracks. We are really trying to make sure we can help counsel you about which is the right program for you to use too, where you're going to get the most benefit, because that's what we're interested in as well. Nefertari is asking if there's a time limit about the projects. There's a time limit for, there is a time limit when you are applying. You will get to a point, if you've applied for both and you have an application pending, we will ask you at some point, like you have to make a decision between the two. If you're about to get approved by one, you will have to choose, okay, you've come to a crossroads, and SPIF is about to send you a conditional commitment letter. You've still got an outstanding letter with NOF. You've got to fish or cut bait with NOF. You've got to say yes or no to one or the other. So you'll have to make that choice if you're in the great position of having both options.
Yep. My follow-up question would be about the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. My perception was it was only certain types of businesses that it could support. I had an impression that it was, restaurants and food services and things like that. Is that still the case, or?
The majority of our grants are food establishments, but that by far is not the only option. I don't know. We in a lot of ways we're similar as SPIF, but in certain things that we're different. So for example, we will cover a tavern. So a business that's just, a bar. And I'm not sure that SPIF can cover that. SPIF doesn't cover franchise businesses. We will cover franchise businesses, but we won't cover like the franchising fees and all of that. The actual build out we'll go ahead and cover. We've done professional services. So, right now in our program, we've got a translation service, we've done dental offices, we've done law offices. I think the most common business type that comes to us that we can't cover would be childcare. And that one is, can be a little bit of a gray area. If it's a straight up commercial daycare, that is not something that we can cover. But if it is some sort of extracurricular academic enrichment program, so for example, someone that wants to open up a STEM classroom where kids can come in after school and learn STEM, that would be qualified for the NLF program. So daycares, no, but academic enrichment programs, yes. And then in terms of nonprofits, again, it has to be there has to be some sort of public revenue generating activity. So the example that we usually use is like a food pantry is a no, but a food pantry that decides to open up a coffee shop or some sort of a produce shop where they do workforce training and people can go in and buy products at a reduced rate or whatnot, then that would work, but not the food pantry portion of it.
And again, I would SPIF does fund daycare centers. And other than that, I think Sophia covered it well, but I would once again say that your friends at West Humboldt Park CDC are experts in these programs and can answer. I mean, we are very happy to answer additional questions, as is Summer Core, our program administrator, but West Humboldt Park also is a great resource for these things. And if they don't know the answer, they will contact us too. So I can't say enough good things about your delegate agencies. And particularly, I want to urge folks, there are, the initial applications are easy. There are a number of requirements past that point that we're going to be asking folks to provide, things like, as I said before, making sure debt is cleared, making sure your architectural drawings are together. Design is more and more an important part, making sure that not just the project is returning on your investment and returning on the city's investment for the community as well is going to be a bigger and bigger issue. So making sure those things are on point, your local delegate agency is going to be a great partner for all of those things. So really take advantage of that resource.
And, I don't know if we have time for this, maybe, Ernest, just like 5-10 seconds. I was wondering, Adrian or Nefertari, do either one of you want to talk really briefly about what your NOF project is, since you guys are one of our grantees?
So, hi, this is Adrian. So our NLF project is, we are rehabbing the second level of our building and having some work done on the first level. I would say it's like 90% complete. We're hoping to have it complete within the next few days. And it allows us to expand our office space to provide more services and training for job readiness. So it's been a journey, but it's almost done. The weather caught us, COVID caught us, but we're getting it complete.
Yeah. And Adrian, are you guys still doing the outdoor space?
So we do have the outdoor space. We purchased the lot next to us. We've paved it. We want to use it for community space, ice cream social, pop-ups for businesses, just, all year round. The gates open in the back. It won't be used for parking, but we'll put planters and have some artwork. So it will be community space. We're trying to get everything complete so we can utilize it this summer.
Yeah. Thanks, Adrian. And I just wanted to bring that up because that's a really unique project. We do also do cultural amenities or kind of open space, public open space on private property for the community to enjoy. So yeah, really excited about West Humboldt Park finishing out that project and looking forward to celebrating that as the weather warms up.
Gonna be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's it. Ernest, back to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sophia and Nora. Really appreciate you all coming on the roundtable for this month and sharing about SPIF and NOF. So real quickly, I kind of wanted to go next into tomorrow evening. We will be having our second visioning workshop for the corridor RFP. The agenda is pretty much kind of what you see here. We'll have a quick recap of the first visioning session, as well as just a quick run through of Invest Southwest for those who are new on the call. And then we will go into looking at our opportunity site that we're going to go ahead with for an RFP, and then have a greater breakout discussion about that. As a bit of a prequel, I will let you know what the site is. We were looking at all these sites as you remembered the last time. There was even more with thinking about Kells Park earlier in roundtables. Through the last roundtable, there was a lot of positive talk about Site C, which, if you all remember, is Dr. Early's former building, our building that is along the corridor. There was a lot of positive thought about the building, but the site's very small for an RFP. We kind of looked at a few different examples. It's really close by a lot of great amenities. And I think, John, you may know a little bit of this background. We've been having some positive discussions with NHS next door about the potentials of it joining the site as part of the RFP, and NHS is excited to be a participant in helping to strengthen our corridor. So our site's going to be looking at both how do we reimagine both areas while vacating the alley that's in between them to stand up something dynamic for a corridor. So that's pretty much the quick rundown of it. And I wanted to kind of show kind of a few of the things we talked about today, next steps, deadlines, and I'll hold if there's any questions we have in the remaining time. Okay.
Have none.
Wow.
And we are cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
Why cautiously?
Well, my goal is to continue serving the entire west side from this space that we own free and clear. And so we have to be careful, because when debt comes around, you're suddenly a much bigger expense. So cautiously optimistic.
We always have a desk for you here, John.
And that's exactly what I'm afraid of. They close down the office.
You're not going anywhere. We need you in the community.
Yeah, we're going to do a great job tomorrow evening showing some examples and making sure that, John, you stay where you're at, and the great services that NHS provides stays happening on our site for the West region. So it should be a good show tomorrow evening. Be sure to spread the word. We're looking forward to having a good turnout and having a spirited discussion. So,
thank you, Ernest.
Thank you, Ernest.
Well, thank you everyone for joining for this month's roundtable, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening at the visioning session, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. and at next month's roundtable. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.